I'm Alex.
Hi, I'm George.
Hi, I'm Paminda.
Hi, I'm Chris.
Hi, I'm Rick.
And together we have made Skillshare, a social media application that aims to bridge the generational gap via the means of sharing skills. You may possess an array of talents and hobbies as an individual, but what if you wanted to expand your skill set and venture into something new? That's where Skillshare comes in. Our application enables people of all ages to simultaneously teach their skills to others whilst also learning something new from someone else. Not only the two parties benefiting, but the sociability between different groups of people is improving, and before you know it, you've made a new friend. We have made sure our application's accessibility is top-notch to attract people of all ages and make sure that Skillshare really is an app for anyone and everyone. Now I'm going to take you through the user experience of Skillshare. Here we have the Skillshare login page, and as I am not a pre-existing user, I'm going to sign up using Firebase Authentication. I can fill in the boxes with the required information and select my date of birth. We have included age restrictions on our app to ensure our users are 18 and over, which is the case with many apps where sociability and potential meetups are a key feature. Great, so now we're redirected to the Create Profile page, which uses Firebase Realtime database to store user information. You can select your display picture and drag and crop the image how you prefer, and your name, postcode and bio are inputted below. This is what other users will see when they view your profile. And now let's select our skills. Each skill is separated into a category, and you can select the options that apply to you. Or if your skill is not listed, you can specify it within the input box. And now let's do the same for the skills that we want to learn. Perfect. We're ready to start skill sharing. So once you've created your profile, you'll be directed to the Skillshare homepage, which is automatically populated with your top matches. These are users who want to learn the skills that you want to teach and teach the skills that you want to learn. The results are sorted by distance, with your closest matches appearing first. And at the top of the screen, we've added extra search functionality that enables our users to search for skills by category or by a specific skill in the search bar. We can choose whether we want to learn or teach these skills, and our results are rendered on the page. For now though, let's just take a look at our top matches. Each card contains user information, such as their possessed and desired skills, and from this card you can either directly message the user or view more about them on their profile page. This person seems to be the perfect match, so let's find out more. Now we can see more information, such as their bio and the categories that their skill set falls into, and we even have a rating system where we can check out the average amount of stars a user has been given based on other user experiences of them. So let's say that we have worked with this person before. We can give them a 5 out of 5 star rating as a teacher, but they might not have been so patient as a student. We've also made sure each user can only vote once. And at the bottom of the page, we can reach out to this user by sending them a message. Our direct messenger uses TalkJS, which is a chat API and JavaScript SDK for websites and apps. We can send a message and it will be saved as an active chat in your messages, which you can access on any page from the drop-down menu on our header. The drop-down menu also allows you to view your profile and sign out with the Skillshare title linking you back to the homepage. Finally, you might have been wondering what these two buttons on our header do. As mentioned before, accessibility was a key feature in our app, so we ensured that each page has the option of increasing and decreasing font size. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration, and now I'm going to pass you on to Rick, who'll talk about the backend tech that we used for our project.
Thanks, Alex. I'm now going to take you through the backend of Skillshare. First of all, we wanted our app to be secure so that users can know that their data was safe with us. Through research, we found Google's Firebase platform and Firebase Authentication. Firebase Authentication works great for us as it provides comprehensive security, and we can authenticate that a user is signed in whenever they try to access a page on our app. Through Firebase Authentication, we found Realtime Database. Realtime Database stores all your data as JSON, which took a little getting used to, as in previous projects we had used SQL and relational databases to store our data. After reading about JSON databases, we learned that the best way to make it scalable is to make it as least nested as possible. So with that in mind, here is how we structured our database. We added a skills tree, which contains all of the skill categories, and under each category is a list of specific skills. We then added a usernames tree, which just has a list of all the current usernames so we could quickly look up if your username had already been taken when a user signs up. We also added a users tree, which stored all the information we needed to know about a user in order for our app to work. This includes the user's location. And we got the user's location by asking them to enter their postcode on sign up. We then made a call to an API called postcodes.io, which returns the information on that postcode, including longitude and latitude. By using some maths, we were able to calculate the distance between our users. We also had teaching skills and desired skills trees, which stored all the skills and the users who could teach them or want to learn them. We also had a user teaching skills and a user desired skill trees, which had a list of all the users and all the skills they wanted to teach or learn. Finally, we also wanted to store user profile images. Luckily, Firebase allowed us to do just that, and using Firebase's cloud storage module, we could store the user's selected profile image under their UID. We then linked our backend to our frontend using Axios. Axios allows you to make HTTP requests, and if the call is successful, it gives you the data in an easy-to-use JSON object, and if not, it returns an error code and message. I'll now pass you over to George to talk about the front end of Skillshare.
For the front end, we used a React-based interface. This meant that we could create a dynamic UI with reusable components using tech we'd learned on the course. When creating the interface, we used element tags semantically to make the app more accessible, and we made extensive use of CSS3's flex and grid display properties in areas such as the homepage search form and the search result cards in order to neatly display elements next to each other. We also made use of other React-based libraries such as the React Image Crop node package that lets users crop the image they upload to their profile pages. For navigation between pages, we use React Router. React Router lets you easily combine root and link components to navigate between different paths and pass properties between components. This took some getting used to, as previously our team had only ever used Reach Router as opposed to React Router, and there are some differences in implementation. However, after this initial learning curve, we found that React Router worked well for our needs. It was also the recommended routing library for setting up Firebase Authentication, which made redirection on pages that require a logged-in user a straightforward process. And for the instant messaging functionality, we use a JavaScript library called TalkJS. TalkJS provides a chat API and JavaScript SDK with a pre-built UI. It makes the process of setting up instant messaging functionality on an app or website very straightforward. The UI provides an inbox for each of your users and a conversation window where users can message each other in real time. It comes with its own database that stores your users and their past messages between each other. Integrating TalkJS and our Firebase technologies took a lot of work, and initially we encountered some issues ensuring that the currently logged on users' information was passed successfully to the TalkJS objects and methods. Also, as TalkJS is usually a paid-for service, we can only use the development version of the app, which has some limited functionality and displays an in-app prompt about upgrading to the live version. However, even after a lot of time spent testing and debugging, the benefits of using TalkJS were evident. We estimate that it still dramatically decreased the time taken in setting up the messaging functionality compared to writing our own code from scratch, and it saves having to account for messaging data in our database. And now I'll hand over to Perminder, who will talk about the challenges we faced with accessibility and remote working.
Thank you, George. The first challenge I'll be talking about was with working remotely. We found that emulating a virtual space in which we could work together and communicate imperative to overcoming this. We made use of Zoom to talk and also screen share so we could code with one another. However, we used alternative methods so people could keep in touch when Zoom wasn't an option. These alternative methods included using Slack to message each other and using Trello, which is an online Kanban board, to organise and prioritise our tasks. Another challenging time came in the project when combining TalkJS, Firebase and React Router all for the first time. We contemplated trying to find different tech to solve the problem, but we persevered as they had great features for us to use. Once we combined all the tech successfully, we had to create a place where we could work from and reference, and that's where GitHub came in. With GitHub's version control, we could work on the app separately, and after we completed our work for the day, we could merge the branches together, ironing out any conflicting code. We did this merging daily to ensure that everyone had an up-to-date working version of the app to work with the next day. As we had a large age demographic to cover, we had to make sure that Skillshare was as accessible as possible. We did this by planning our app in accordance with web content accessibility guidelines. Eyesight is something known to diminish with age, so we addressed this by allowing the user to change the text size with some easy-to-use buttons. Furthermore, we made use of Chrome's Lighthouse development tool to test Skillshare. Lighthouse provided vital feedback on how we could improve accessibility in our app, with keeping in line with the WCAG standards and the use of Lighthouse, we scored very highly in tests we performed on our finished app. One of the biggest hurdles to overcome was to plan, create and test our app in the short time we had. To achieve this, we had to prioritise the most important parts of our app and address extras only after those parts had been completed. This was our minimal viable product and was realistically achievable in the time we had. I will now hand over to Chris, who will summarise what we learned as a team and will also talk about the extra features we had planned for Skillshare that didn't make it in time. Thank you.
While doing this project, we learnt a lot about working as a team in a remote setting. We used regular stand-ups to keep up to date with what everyone was doing. During these stand-ups, we used a Kanban board on Trello to keep track of where we was up to as a project, and finally we used pair programming to tackle each task that was set for the day. With the time that we was given, we successfully made a working skill sharing app. However, there are still some additional features we would like to add in future development. These include a video call function which will allow users to meet for the safety of their own homes and to share their skills remotely. This means that users' location is less of an issue and users have the option to learn or teach from a wider variety of people. It also means that users who don't feel comfortable meeting in person can still use the app. Also, we would like to have included an adds friends list so that users can add or remove their matches. This would make it easier for users to make recommendations to other users. Thank you for watching our presentation and we hope you enjoyed it.